Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Lindsay, the housewife historian, and today we are going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Orange County and the Real Housewives of New Jersey because of lots going on this weekend. And we just got some news that something went down in Orange County on Saturday night, and it included Shannon Beador, so we have to talk about that. Let me get over here to my comments. Sorry guys. Let me turn my comments on for you guys so I can read everyone's comments. I hope you guys are all well. I know I haven't been live in a while. I've been really going through it with YouTube trying to get my channel monetized. So I apologize for that, but I have decided to start a new YouTube channel because I want to be able to give you guys free content, basically. And I don't want to have to do like a Patreon. I don't want to have to do paid platforms. And because I like go to events, like I'm going to be going to Teresa and Melissa Feaster's live event in like a month. Like I actually spend my own money. I also, have like a streaming service. Like there's just different things that the monetization helps to cover, put like back in my pocket. So that's why it's so important. Hi Yo-Yo, hi Barbara. Sorry, I was just trying to get my camera together. But anyway, so I just really want to keep my content free. And the best way for me to do that is to just start a new YouTube channel. So I'm basically starting over from scratch. So if you guys get a chance, when you do, please go check out my new YouTube channel, Housewives 411. It's still under Lindsay, the housewife historian. So it's the same photo of me so that hopefully you guys can identify it just as easily and go over, follow that channel because I don't have that many followers yet. I don't have the same like access to do even lives. Like I said I was going to do a live on that channel today, but I can't even do a live because I don't have enough followers or enough content for YouTube to consider giving me like that platform. Thank you so much, Barbara. Barbara said she already went and followed it. I appreciate you so much. Like I don't want to have to do paid platforms and all that. Like I like being able to come to you guys, and I understand that some people that like podcasts don't like YouTube, and people that like YouTube, they don't like podcasts. They like to be able to see the person that's talking. They like the interaction. They like to be able to do a live, like just like right now, where we can correspond back and forth. And I can appreciate that there's a whole like group of people on YouTube that loves the Real Housewives, and sadly, like their For You page doesn't look the same anymore because so many podcasters and bloggers and influencers that were on YouTube have been chased off, ran off, demonetized. So many bad things have like happened because of these specific RHONJ women that are like trying to control the narrative. There's been a lot of great people that have had to pull their content from YouTube. So whether that's YouTube's fault, the network's fault, the housewives' fault, a combination of all of them, it affects ultimately you guys, the listeners, sadly the most. So I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to keep y'all in some free content. So if you would, you get a second when we're done with this live, or you put me on pause, run over, and give that page a follow. Thank you so much, Yo-Yo. And then that way I can start putting content on it and getting you guys up, just moving everything slowly over there. Let's get into though what's going on in Orange County. Did you guys hear what happened? Because strategically, somehow Shannon was able to keep this out of the press until today at around 10 o'clock this morning, probably when she had arraignment. Shannon Beador sadly was arrested for a DUI Saturday in Newport Beach. I don't know what time of day it was, which is really sketchy, and that makes me really suspicious that they did not list a specific time. But all of the online reports, TMZ, everything is reporting that she nipped a house. I nipped my house once, but I was like 17. She nipped a house and she just kept driving, which is like so woman, like, that is such a woman thing to do. She just keeps driving, and they reports are saying that she pretty much parked her car in the middle of the road and got out with her dog and just started walking like all was well in the world. Just like all was good, and probably all was well in the world for her because she's in happy place, right? But reports are stating they use the word inebriated. Hazy Buffy said, Barbara says, I feel bad. It's all over social media. I know. I feel bad too. It sucks when that happens because it's like, damn, you're already like feeling so shitty. Hopefully by now she's had a little bit of time to like process everything. She's not the only person to get a DUI on TV. Like Gina just got one not that, how many years ago. And Shannon, was the one who treated her the most gracious and actually Gina and her own stupidity not going to court was the worst thing that she could ever do. I don't know if they didn't have the money to retain an attorney. I don't know what the hell they were doing. It might have been a little bit more than drinking. If you're asking me, that's what it looked like was going on over there. But Gina seems to have cleaned her side of the road up. But now Shannon's kind of going through it. So I'm kind of surprised too, Hazy. Only because I think Newport is like, people drink a lot there. Like that's their social scene. And it's only because like, in my opinion, just because like I've worked around dentists and doctors, like people like cops and people that can't do like illegal illicit drugs. I can't even use that word. Sorry. Don't do things. They tend to be heavier drinkers, right? So like people that where like medicinal Mary Jane may not be socially acceptable. Martinis every night at dinner are. So sometimes you can end up with someone who's, you know, like drinks a lot because they don't do like any other illicit things, and they might have high stress jobs, so like doctors and police officers, I think, in my opinion, the ones I've been around are usually heavy drinkers. So hey, Scotty too hottie 52, welcome. um but I think that Newport has a lot of wealthy people and retired wealthy people. Sorry guys if that just lagged. That was my low battery. But wealthy people that are retired, they're living the good life. They're living in Orange County. First of all, Orange County is, if you guys don't know, the reason we've had so many shows out of Orange County, Laguna Beach, the Real Housewives of Orange County is a very Newport Beach, Emerald Bay, like these are very expensive places. Some of the most beautiful places, in the country, according to a lot of people. Rich people, Hollywood Hills, right? Like it's just a very influent place to be. Thank you so much, Yo-Yo. I appreciate that. She's right, guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you guys check out my Housewives 411 because we're going to slowly transition there. Orange County is a very rich area. People, you guys know the type of women we know: big boobies, blonde hair, tiny. They say if you're like in your 30s, you're too old. If we go back to the Real Housewives of Orange County and you go back to the earlier seasons, you guys will meet you guys know I'm so bad with names. Damn it. Lindsay's mom. She was a housewife. Knickerbocker. What was her first name? Knickerbocker was her last name. She was a housewife, one of the very first housewives, and her husband Lou, they owned the biggest house in Orange County in the gated community at one point. They ended up getting divorced. Lou has some kind of energy drink, and this was before energy drinks were really Tammy, thank you, JC, Tammy Knickerbocker. Her daughter actually went missing. Well, she hadn't spoken with her for a significant amount of time, and she was worried about her in Vegas, and we rallied a whole a lot of us. Like I saw on Facebook, so I reached out to her on Instagram, and a couple of us got it started spreading the word about her daughters because she was looking for her. And within, I think, like 4 or 5 days, her daughter had reached out to her. So she thanked me and she was very nice. And I think her daughters, they I think that their dad dying was very traumatic, and I don't know what, we saw a very small portion of their life on the show, and I don't know what it was like before or after, right? So, anyways, they have their dad's name is Lou. Lou has an energy drink, and Lou is in his 50s. I mean, he was older than Tammy, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure. Um, and he has his daughters and their friends, and he's paying them to be the OC Angels, except they're in little tiny bikinis, bottoms, bikini tops. They're going around to Huntington Beach and places, and he bought the Hummer. They were like fighting over who's going to drive the Hummer, and the girls are fighting amongst themselves. And it does seem like a little bit of an uncomfortable situation that we have Lou, who's in his 50s, and he has his daughters, and they're very young girlfriends doing this OC Angel business. And the women in that area didn't seem to be bothered by it, but the viewership of people in other areas were a little bit like, wow, But anyways, Lou ends up unexpectedly passing. So Tammy and the girls are sort of left. I don't want to say destitute, but I'm gonna use the word destitute. Because I think that he was taking care of them. I mean, they were his daughters, that was his ex. And so we see her on the show, because we see her on the show because they start to struggle financially. The girls are friends with Lori. If you guys remember Lori worked for Vicky. I love Lori has a daughter named Ashley who they were actually talking about bringing on to the OC. Her name was floating around in different social media circles, and she actually came, and I think she wasn't on Watch What Happens Live, which I don't know why they didn't bring her on unless if she didn't have the personality to keep up with it for a half hour. I don't know. But they made her bartender. She was very pretty. She's in her 30s. I think that she would be a great candidate, but they don't seem to be very interested in her. But anyways, there was a lot of that on the show. So anyways, getting back to Gina and Shannon, we now we have DUIs from them, but Lori's son, he was on hard, explicit things, and he had a lot of run-ins with the police as well out there in Orange County. And also, there was something going around about, oh gosh, I'm not gonna be able to remember how to explain it, but it's Vicky Gunvalson's son, and I don't know who he's dating, but he's dating someone that was dating somebody else in the Bravo world. I have a feeling this will be brought up on. Oh, absolute. First of all, did you guys know Kelly Dodd's mad at Shannon? I don't even know why Kelly Dodd's mad at Shannon, but I know that when Kelly Dodd is pissed off, it is a show time. I'm grabbing my popcorn, I'm grabbing Pepsi, because I know that Kelly gives 0 Fs. And some people like that, some people hate it, some people find it a little bit entertaining. That's probably I'm somewhere in that middle. But Kelly's mad at Shannon. So Kelly is probably, I mean, we are probably going to be seeing the social media war of 2023 start to happen over this DUI. It's going to spark major social media. Who's dating Tamara's son right now? Thank you, JCA. That's what I was wondering. Who was dating Tammy's son? Um, it's going to cause a social media war. I think that Gina is definitely going to use this against Shannon, because there was a point where Gina felt like Shannon was using it against her to make her feel unimportant. Or if you remember the first year that Heather Dubrow came back on the show, Gina actually got mad at Shannon for bringing up Gina's DUI in front of Heather and how she got Gina an attorney. Gina got really mad about that. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Shoot. Thank you for telling me that. Kelly received a text from Shannon they made up. Well, then we're not going to get as good of a show as I thought we were going to get. Oh, that's so funny. Yes, we need to be conscious about it, especially with having kids, for sure. The ex of Vicky's son, I can't think of her name though. Yeah, there's it's a tangled web out there in Orange County. And so that's why I think that, not to mention it's like beautiful weather, but a lot of people have bikes out there. A lot of people have electronic bikes. I know like Vicky and Kelly were hanging out and they were riding their like electronic bikes down to the local watering hole or whatever you want to call it. I agree. I think people realize how much they drink until it's too late. I think, Barbara, we've heard for a really long time about Shannon's late night calls and her late night calls drunk about Sean and they're fighting. I could see the two of them getting drunk and fighting. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh. I laugh because I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to like talk about people that, have these issues with alcohol because it does suck. And it's like if she has really had a problem, then when you think about like what her children have endured and what she's endured, trying to keep the secret, trying to keep everything in, trying always cleaning up, always hiding, like that gets tiring. It's sort of like being on the run. And it can be difficult. I don't know what, everyone's life is different. And I can only hope that, like, she's happy. Sometimes people are in a fog. It's very different. Everyone is very, very different. But I just think that John and Shannon remind me of a couple that drink too much and fight, right? Um, Scotty's Too Hot. He says, "Hey, Lindsay, what are your thoughts on the Kim D and David Yonta fight?" I don't know. I'm not up to speed yet on their latest debacle. I know that Kim had come out and said that there was no hard feelings. I thought David had done the same. I've kind of said this before between the two of them. I don't think that they expected Kim to blow up because if you guys remember, if you go back and look, David and Kim were out to dinner. They had posted and tweeted and they had ran into Melissa and Joe. And this was a while before Kim came on David's podcast. Anyways, they take pictures with Melissa and Joe. Everything is Gucci. I think they tweet the photos. Couple of weeks later, Joe Gorga does an interview and he trashes Kim. Like he was ignorant. He was like mean about like it was very mean. And Kim was pissed. And so Kim, having been with David, who had a podcast, she went on David's podcast and addressed Melissa and Joe about their interview about her. And so that's sort of what got her like started coming on his podcast. Now, I don't know if she had been on his podcast before that or what their relationship was like before that. Maybe she did sporadically come on like every 6 months or something. I don't know because I wasn't a super avid I still don't have time to listen to podcasts right now. But that I know for certain. But I think that I would have liked to have seen like Kim and David, like they should have had some sort of plan in motion to reevaluate their working relationship like every 3 months, every 6 months, something along those lines. Because one, I just don't think that Kim or David expected, their podcast to blow up, their Saturday mornings, their Patreon, whatever you want to call it. Number one. Number two, I think when Kim started, she didn't have any intention of going into the podcast or Patreon world or any of that nonsense. I think she literally had just been out to eat with David. This shit had happened. She wanted to she wanted to address Joe and Melissa, so she went on David's podcast, and it just sort of happened. And then I think though that like towards she started getting into the swing of things and she was liking it and enjoying it, and maybe she wanted to do a little bit more of it. I also think that when the season was airing, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Kim had a lot of tea to talk about because she's in Franklin Lake. She's in the mix of it. She can do drive-bys. She's got young girls, in her circle, in her mix and such. And so she has a lot of tea. But during the off season, to try to come up with an hour long of content just about the Real Housewives of New Jersey, when it's not airing, when it's only filming, you only know what's going on behind the scenes, it's going to be very, very, very difficult, right? I also think that they were infiltrated. I noticed in the comments, I've said this before, there were people that were saying to David, "Oh, Kim's shitty, yada yada yada," and then they would be at Kim, "Oh, David's shitty, he told you this, yada yada yada." The financials again should have been reviewed every 6 months because it's a sticky situation when you have a person who has an established podcast that built it, maintains it, does all of that. does the person that you're having on the podcast, are they your partner 50-50? Are you their employee? You have to establish what those lines are. And so, I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know. Because if she was an employee of his, like if it's hypothetically, if it's his company and he's employing her, then is it fair to look at the situation like, well, she deserves half? I don't know. Also, you have to consider the fact that it's very, very difficult to find the exact number of what you make off of YouTube videos because of the fact that the rate on which Google AdSense pays you changes per the view of the video. You're also going to continue to make money off of the video. So at what point do you say, okay, this video got 30,000 views, so I'm going to pay you this much off of it? Okay, but then say the next month all of a sudden it gets another 10,000 views. It's hard. When do you say, okay, this is the cutoff and I'm going to give you half? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's very difficult to do like podcasts and YouTubes and a 50-50 partnership. And a lot of times you'll see a person who has their own podcast, they're working on their own brand, and they will have a guest on their show and they will either compensate them privately, they will compensate them with like behind the scenes, like pushing their content, or they could compensate them with going on their channel. That's what a lot of us do on YouTube. We'll go on each other's channel, and that way we all know what's going on. Does David make most of his money on the Patreon, not on YouTube? I think a lot of people were thinking that, but I don't think that he had any other Patreon but the Kim D and David Patreon, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but if I'm correct, the only Patreon was David and Kim Patreon. So that wouldn't be that he would be making most of his money on Patreon, because he didn't even have it until he got with Kim. And David's been doing this since before Dana Wilkie, because when I met Dana in 2020, she was already friends with David and he was already on Behind the Velvet Rope. He'd already started his podcast. So, and David didn't have he didn't have a huge Housewives following. Like, a lot of his content was a lot of like what you guys see now. He had a lot of like Hollywood people. If you go through and see the people that David has interviewed, it's like a lot of Hollywood people and such. So, 20 for everything and 14 for each month. Yes. Okay. $20 for everything and $14 each month for Kim. Okay. No, Kim was 14 weeks. She had her Patreon. Scott said he had a Patreon prior to that. Says he had a Patreon prior to that. He may have, but I'm gonna be honest with all of you guys. I don't think that Patreon is probably their main income. I'm going to say that YouTube is likely probably David's where he has a podcast, though, like a podcast that has sponsors. So that's his main income, is his podcast, because he has a real podcast, not a podcast that's just free, ad free. David has sponsored ads and sponsored ads on his podcast separately from YouTube. If you guys notice, he doesn't do any products, any push, nothing like that on YouTube. YouTube strictly the ads are the only payment on YouTube. These sponsors are on his actual podcast. So I would assume that would be income number one, YouTube coming in at income number two, and Patreon coming in at number three. So Scotty, did they have two separate Patreons? So he had a Patreon and then he had a separate Patreon with Kim, or did he just add Kim to his Patreon? They did a meet and greet in Manhattan podcast a while ago. Yes. I mean, I think that she was part of his Saturday morning podcast. But the podcast, again, it's like it gets messy because he's been working on that podcast since before 2020. So it's like, is it their podcast because she, he hosts her? I'm not sure. So it's kind of like I said, it's a debate. It's like a lot of logistics. It's business logistics. It's like numbers. Barbara, I think you're right. I think that David and Kim have a lot of the same personality traits. That's not a bad thing. That just means that sometimes it's hard to get along. With two people that have the same personality. That's why I do think that, but here's my thing. If this is what it need, if this is what Kim D needed to get her another chance at getting back on Real Housewives in New Jersey, I think she'd happily pay the price. If she just doesn't know that that's the end result yet, she's still kind of in limbo probably, or I don't know, maybe they have everything ready to go. They're going to film the fashion show and the rest is in limbo. I don't know. But I would assume that she would take a payment from Bravo all day over a payment from David. So if a couple, if the last 6 months were anything less than just helping to get her back on the show, then I would say she probably would be happy. Oh, he says the $14 tier per month was named after. Okay, Scotty. So Patreon has different tiers and you can subscribe to different tiers. So he would have made hers the $14 one. I got you. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, looking forward. Yeah, I can support Kim D. I'm like hoping that Barbara, I think that she would be happy. She said that she was very humble about it. She was like, look, before I didn't have to worry about money. I didn't even worry about getting a paycheck. I had a little shop that I was happy just to get the publicity. I was happy just, now everyone knows Posh, right? But like she could use the money now because she doesn't have the income that she had because her fiance or like life partner, he passed away. I think they were together for 10 years. I think he passed away unexpectedly. He kept the plane with his big boys still name, and I paid the $14 for David weekly episodes, and he never. I'm sorry, let me read this comment. He kept the plane with the big boys still name. Okay, he kept that name, and I paid the $14 for David weekly episodes, and he never mentioned her leaving to keep the $14 monthly payments coming. I complained. Okay, I see what you're saying. So Scotty's saying that even though David knew that Kim wasn't going to be on the Patreon anymore, he didn't say anything because it comes out, I'm assuming, one time monthly. And so that way he got another month out of everyone, I'm assuming. Scotty says Kim started her own Patreon. Yes, she did. She is on Saturdays, and I have definitely I've always showed David and Kim support together, but I also support Kim because she's coming out with a new Patreon. She's coming out with a new. So of course I've shared her stuff on my Instagram. I've reached out to her and I correspond. So I definitely support Kim. I'm cheering her on. I hope she gets back on the show. I would love to see her and Teresa back together. I think that she has the power to take Margaret to places Margaret's never been before because Kim isn't afraid to get her hands dirty. She doesn't have to be scared to get her hands dirty. Jennifer has 5 kids in the school district. She can't exactly get her hands dirty. Teresa is the star of the show. Hello, she can't do it, Exactly, named playing with the big boys from his Patreon, 14 per month to get 1 week per episode. That's steep. Says I paid 10 for Kim D's Patreon. Nice. I like that. I mean, it's like, here's the thing. It's hard to pay for content right now. Like, especially it's back to school. Like, in my mind, like my genre of people is I'm always, oh man, I'm so sorry guys. That's my low battery. In my mind, I'm always thinking of like the working mom because that's what I am. So in my mind, I'm always like feeling I'm not thinking of like the people that are like retired or have the extra money or their kids are grown or they're not in college or whatever. Like, so I'm always thinking about the person that's like budgeting their money, right? So I feel bad trying to charge a monthly subscription, but like I get it. Some people, you know, they if all I did was a monthly subscription and I could put in 40 hours a week into content, oh yeah. Hi guys, can you still hear me? Let me know in the comments if you can still. Can you let me know in the comments if you can still hear me? I'm putting my head on my. I'm so sorry if you can't. Let's see. I'm so sorry about that, Scotty. Yeah, that's definitely, nobody wants to feel like they're being deceived, which is why, like, I definitely try to be like open and honest with you guys. And like I said, like, I'm not trying to make be a millionaire, anything like that, but like, I have to pay for a streaming service just so that, thank you so much, Barbara, for letting me know. I pay for like a streaming service only because it helps me get my content to you guys faster. Like, when I was first on YouTube and I didn't know, I would be like, oh my God, it would be taking me hours to days to upload a 10-minute video that, like, by the time it would get uploaded, the information would be so outdated that, I'm like, who even wants to listen to my video now? So I don't know. You play nice. How are you? So I try to play. Listen, you reap what you sow, right, guys? I say it all the time. You're gonna reap your harvest. So you got to be kind. Try to be generous, to people. Like, I don't. If I could give you what it was worth, then that would be totally fine. I guess when you have a hot commodity, like Kim D was in. She was in demand, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. During New Jersey time, she was in demand, right? If you guys remember the Q&A I went to, I really went to it originally was because of my friend Monica. I was listening to David and Kim, and that's when I had gotten doxxed when, that certain New Jersey housewife had put all that stuff out about me, and they were like super supportive and kind to me. So I was like happy to be super supportive and kind back, and we got to meet in person, and it was, I really enjoyed them. So I was sad to see them split. And I told Kim from the beginning, just like I told David, both of them, like, I hope that you guys can at least come to a point of agree to disagree but move on. If there's been any wrongs, just make them righted. If David owes her money, write her a paycheck and tell her you're sorry, and just keep it pushing. Tell her it was an accounting error, whatever. Even if you both know maybe it was something different. Those are sometimes how you take care of those situations. Like, you just wrong the right. And I think that again, if Kim wasn't having her own, financial issues, super financially independent, I don't think she would care so much. Oh, thank you so much, Yo-Yo. I appreciate you so much. I'm glad that you guys enjoy my videos. I don't know why. I'm like, why is this eruption thing happening? I need to like put my do not disturb on. And then when I do that, it wants me to do something else. I'm like, oh my Lord, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. One of these days, it's Monday. It's okay, right, guys? It's just Monday. It's just Monday. Here we go, guys. Okay, it's just Monday. A couple of the other things I wanted to talk to you guys about real quick, because I know you guys love New Jersey and some of you guys are, and I'd like to kind of talk about other things before I go right into New Jersey, because of the fact that when I talk about hey Deb, I'm so glad you could join us. Sometimes when I talk about New Jersey first, there's people in my chat that are taking my tea and they run it back to other channels. and they like give it back to them verbatim, which is so shitty, but whatever. So that's why in my videos, if you guys pay attention from now, I'm going to try to start talking a little bit about some of the other subjects in the chat and going on than just New Jersey, because yeah. So anyways, Real Housewives in New Jersey, who wants to chat about it? That's okay, Deb. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that everyone could join. I just wanted you guys to know that I did start a new YouTube channel because of the issues that I'm having with this one. So when you guys get done here, make sure you guys go check out my Housewives 411 YouTube channel. Okay. Real Housewives of New Jersey. We have to talk about the fact that allegedly we had the filming of Joe and Melissa's housewarming party to their home this weekend, and allegedly 2 different events going on that New Jersey was filming. Teresa was with her friend Caroline. Do you guys remember Caroline? She was on the show, I think, a couple of times. I don't think she wants to be on the show, but yeah, she was married and now she's divorced. Teresa's long time frame. Anyways, back to New Jersey. What I wanted to say was, people are outraged over this party that they had, this Mcmansion housewarming party, because of the fact that there's so many lawsuits pending right now. If you guys don't know, there's lawsuits specific to the home that are alleging that there are a lot of unpaid materials, what they were unpaid for materials and unpaid labor, as well as like $100,000 in unpaid concrete. So we also had an attorney come out and sue them for like $3,600 in just legal fees alone. We also have Starbreak Company, who claim they owed them about $30,000 in windows. And then we have the patio furniture people who never officially filed anything. They simply commented and let everyone know that Joe and Melissa allegedly owed them like $14,000 from an outdoor patio furniture set from a couple of years prior. So people's point is, how is Bravo going to go and film this opening, this Mcmansion housewarming party, but people are literally not being paid for the materials that were contributed to the home? And the worst part about it is that that's probably was like the first time around. These is probably like the lawsuits from the first time they remodeled it. And even though they didn't have the money, they remodeled it a second time because of people's criticism. I mean, yeah, we were right, but you guys still picked out the plans the first time. You guys loved it, okay, until we didn't love it. So if you guys loved it, why didn't you just stay loving it, especially if you couldn't afford to redo it? So I think people are like, why do we want to see a housewarming party at a house that you literally are screwing people out of? This isn't, people are like, well, don't you have a mortgage? There's a very big difference in having a up-to-date mortgage, up-to-date loan, up-to-date consolidated loan, okay, than being sued for non-payment. Do you know how long it takes to be sued? Like months. Do you think these people want to sue them? They don't, because it costs them money. They had to pay an attorney. They're already out $100,000 for their concrete, and now they got to go pay money literally out of their pocket to an attorney to file a lawsuit. So I think that like people in the area, I get a lot of DMs from people that just want to remain anonymous, and they all say the same thing. Like, they constantly are taking from small mom and pop places that can't afford to sue them, and they take from those places, and there's a lot of places in their community and a lot of people that have been screwed over by them. So okay, this is I'm going to answer this for you. Honestly, the contractors have a better chance of getting their money if the Gorgas actually make some via the show. Can't they garnish a non-existent, you can't garnish a non-existent paycheck. They're never going to they're never going to get to the point in the civil suit that they're going to be able to garnish anything. Okay, a garnishment is the same as a lien. Okay, so think about how many liens we know of Real Housewives that have liens on their property. Okay, unpaid lawsuits. So you would literally have to go through the whole court process. You're going to go through mediation. The Gorgas are going to set up a payment plan, right? The court is going to give them a chance to set up a payment plan. And that's going to happen that's after you go through. I just went through this in my podcast because if I want to sue you, I got to get an attorney. We have to put together what happened and we file that with the court. Okay. And we have to pay the court money to file it because then they have to serve you with the sheriff's office with the lawsuit. And then you have a certain amount of days before you have to legally respond to that lawsuit and you file that with the court. And then the court has to come find me, give me the paperwork, and give me 21 days to respond. So then I respond, I file it, they send it to you and give you another 21 days to respond. Then it goes to the court, and then they set a pretrial. It is months and 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 months. And then after you go to court, then the Gorgas are going to set up a payment plan, just like Marge and Joseph did. And then guess what? They're not going to pay it. And you know what you're going to have to do? Take them back to court for non-payment. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to give you a chunk payment and put you in another payment plan. Go look at Margaret and Joe's lawsuit against the women or the couple that they took that money from. That's precisely what happened to them. And look how long they've been in a damn lawsuit with Margaret and Joe. For like 3 years. That's how long. 3 years. It is hard to get money out of people. If people don't want to pay you, if you are not the government, it's hard to get your money. Seriously, that's why that's why people don't do business like that. And they get swindled. It's always somebody like, these people gave Margaret and Joe like $60,000 in cash. It might even have been 120. It's in the Daily Mail article, okay? Who has $120,000 in cash that they're looking to invest? Someone that's getting taken advantage of. That's who, okay? Someone that's either not super genius with money or investing, doesn't know any better, doesn't have a mentor, isn't smart enough to ask an attorney. I don't know. Okay. But I know a lot of people that have $120,000 that they can give away in cash and invest in a house to flip, unless if it's probably all they really have. Because if they had more, they'd have the sense to know how ridiculous it would be to give $120,000 to Margaret and Joseph, whether she's on a TV show or not. Exactly. Like literally just go back and read. You literally can find it in the Daily Mail. It's all, every time they default, these people have to refile a lawsuit, refile default of payment. It makes the headlines. The Gorgas take from people who don't have it to take, sort of like Dorit and her live-in nurse. Thank you, Deb. That's a great point. I talked about that in my podcast this morning. Dorit gets a home aid health nurse, okay, to work and take care of her because she's having a plastic surgery that she's paying money for. It's not a surgery that she's taking care of because she broke her leg or nothing like that. It is a surgery that she is paying to have because she wants to have it. You think that you would account your homemade healthcare nurse, her payment in your budget, but people that don't budget, I guess, don't do that. But yeah, the homemade health nurse, I think she worked over like Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, 3 days by Dorit's bedside and couldn't get her money, couldn't get paid. Do you know how shitty that is before Christmas? If you're a single mom and you're an at-home health aid nurse and somebody like Dorit Kensley signs up and sorry, I was reading this comment, and basically signs up and to work for you for 3 days, and they are expecting payment, thinking, wow, I got like a decent, not thinking like you're the last person that's not going to pay me. These people pay who they want to pay, guys. Look at how long PK owned the Bellagio. A long time. Meanwhile, the Bellagio's got to watch them on the Real Housewives talking about their house getting robbed, insurance settlement. Oh, we left the water running in the little girl's bathroom. Oh, insurance settlement. Oh, our stuff got stolen at the airport. Another insurance settlement. Meanwhile, nothing, you know? This says, God, you cost me a penny for a few days to see Luann. Show you brag how you sleep at night and your cash for a dismal scam to delete the many other complaints from the free paid for this kind of gesture. I don't know, Scotty, what was that? Did I miss the comment? Of course it is. If it were Teresa and Louis, they'd be hanging up by their toes in town square, but the Gorgas get away with it. The Gorgas take from people who don't have it. I know. It's so sad. It really. Elected. Thank you, Mia. I love Mia. She's the best. I feel like she knows what I'm trying to say. Oh, it just makes me crazy. The working class folks are marks to these cheap people. I think so too, Deborah. I think so too. They are marks to millionaires. So I'm like, man, is this how people become millionaires? Like, they just stiff anyone that they can. Yo-Yo said that many housewives across the franchises become friends to only tip each other on how to get away with scamming people to continue their lifestyles they cannot afford. Yeah, that is very sad, guys. It is sad. I mean, like I've said it before. Like, I have more respect for somebody like Joe Giudice and Teresa. I mean, they ripped off like JP Morgan. And y'all hate on them day and night over it. Went and did time, got deported years away from their children's lives, and they still get hated for. And they literally took from huge corporations like JP Morgan Chase. But the Gorgas can take from hardworking people within their local community for over a decade. And Bravo supports them, and their fan base allegedly supports them. I don't know. It sounds crazy to me. How did this start? I think with Renna, although Jill bought followers her first season. Oh my God. I mean, I think there are like some housewives that have it and some that don't, and the ones that don't gravitate towards each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they find ways to like wear fake and outfits and who to get the fakes from, and who has it real and who doesn't. And you and I know, if we have to question if you're wearing fake or real, then you're probably not. Because if we didn't have like Heather Dubrow, like, we're really not going to question Heather because we know what kind of money she has, and what kind of like life she lives. So, but Tamra, we're kind of looking at her sideways when she's like, it's not a fake. I swear to God, it's not a fake. We're like, Tamra, okay, Tamra. You just named the entire clique. Oh, Yo-Yo, you're so funny. Mel, Kyle, and Tamra. Yes. People don't see that Mel and Kyle besties for years and years and years. Yeah. Tamra was a little bit out of the loop because she was down there in the OC, but when she hooked up with Teddy got her in with Kyle, because that was, I feel like, 90% of the reason that Tamra considered working with Teddy, because please remember that Teddy was like low in the Housewives tiers that people wanted to work with. Okay. Teddy was not in a high tier. And I think that the only reason that Tamra worked with her was because of Kyle, to be honest. Production is the show. These women do what they are told. Yep. You're completely right, Deb. I agree with you. But you guys make sure that you follow, leave some comments, go check out my new page, Housewives 411, so I can start going live on that channel for you guys. If you guys can go over there and hit the follow button, I would really appreciate it. I'm gonna start posting little clips here and there so that I can try to get the content, get the content built up over there, but I can't post a lot of like long videos, and I don't even think I can do a live over there. So I'm sorry. I don't know. It's uncomfortable watching these women trying to keep up with the lifestyle knowing they can't afford. I agree with you, but somebody said they made this comment that was like, Bravo, number one, likes to have women that are living the lifestyle they can't afford. I don't know why, because I think it makes them more vulnerable. I know that like sounds kind of sick, but it's like this happy medium because if you get a really super rich housewife like Kathy Hilton, um, then you have to worry about a situation where if Kathy doesn't come out looking squeaky clean, Kathy's gonna get her attorneys and y'all gonna make her come out looking squeaky clean. Y'all gonna to Andy Cohen, go get your toothbrush. You're scrubbing the bathroom floor tonight with the toothbrush. You're gonna make it come out squeaky clean for me. Okay. So it's like David Yontef calls it FU money. Like when they have FU money, they can just do whatever they want. So it's like hard to find this like happy medium of like people that have legitimate money and personality and it be authentic and them not be like complete turn offs, completely out of touch with reality. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Bravo casting just sucks. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with New Jersey. They've added like another 2 or 3 women. I don't know. I feel like they're about to run the franchise into the ground for real. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm like 2 or 3 more new housewives after we already got Rachel and Danielle. And who else? Oh, Jen Fessler. That's a whole new cast, literally. If they bring 3 new women on, that's 3 plus 3 is 6. Just saying. 3 plus 3 is 6. All right, guys, and make sure you have a great day. Happy Monday. Go check out my new podcast, Housewives 411. All of the episodes are on on Spotify. They're on all the like major free platforms. So Housewives 411 podcast, that's where all my videos have been because I haven't been doing lives. So they're there for you to listen. There's no visual, but you guys can listen what I've been putting out the last couple of weeks. If you haven't had a chance to go do that, you can check out my new YouTube channel, Housewives 411. You can also check out my blog at www.lindsay.com. I also have one with Google, so I'm trying to, venture. They can't take my blogs away from me. Okay. I'm just saying. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.